Actions, they say, speak louder than words. We've all heard this proverb. But you know what's even louder sometimes? Inaction, silence. That's what we're talking about tonight, the silence of the Muslim world. Wasn't the case a few days back. Every Muslim country was on the charge. They were summoning Indian envoys. They were asking India to apologize, all because of one inappropriate comment. We told you about this on Monday. A BJP spokesperson insulted the Prophet on a TV debate. The comments were unacceptable, so India reacted. The spokesperson has now been suspended, and the government has rejected her remarks. Ideally, the matter should have ended there. Except it hasn't. The Al-Qaeda is now threatening India. Their offshoot in the subcontinent has published a letter. Frankly, it's a declaration of war. Let me tell you what it says. The saffron terrorists should now await their end in Delhi, Bombay, UP and Gujarat. They should find refuge neither in their homes nor in their fortified army cantonments. This is what the Al-Qaeda letter says. They're talking about suicide bombings. They're talking about attacking Indian cities. What have Muslim nations said about this? Absolutely nothing. Not a word of condemnation, no political outrage, not even a media report. Remember, Qatar kicked off this Gulf outrage over the weekend, but their channel, their state-owned channel, Al Jazeera, has not even reported this terror threat. Not a single mention. Same for Saudi Arabia, Iran, Kuwait, Oman, Egypt. All these countries lined up to condemn India, but all of them are silent on Al-Qaeda. I would have included Afghanistan and Pakistan, but frankly, what's the point? Both these countries host Al-Qaeda inside their borders, so expecting them to condemn is pointless. But what about Riyadh or Abu Dhabi? These countries are so-called allies in the war on terror. Why are they silent? Because they stand to gain nothing. There are no points for criticizing Al-Qaeda, but criticizing India, that's an attractive prospect. Muslim nations used one comment from India to rally their community, to evoke strong emotions, and look where it's gotten us. Today, terror groups are threatening to strike India, groups that are funded and backed by the same countries. Let's start with Qatar. Name any terror group, chances are Qatar funds them. Hamas, Kataib, Hezbollah, Al-Qaeda, Taliban, Islamic Jihad, all these groups are sponsored by Qatar. I'll give you one example. Khalifa Turki al-Subai. He was an employee at Qatar Central Bank. Today he runs a real estate company in Doha. The US accuses this man of financing 9/11. He was sanctioned by international agencies. But in Doha, he's living the perfect life. Money, safety, peace of mind, everything. Next up is Kuwait. It is said to be the leading financier of Al-Qaeda and ISIS. In 2014, US officials accused a Kuwaiti minister of funding jihad in Syria. Let me repeat that. A Kuwaiti minister was funding terrorism. Weeks later, he had to step down. How can we expect these countries to condemn the Al-Qaeda then? They're sponsors of terrorism. They use terror as a state policy, so their outrage this weekend was not really religious. It was political. It was meant to trigger the Muslim community. Just think about it. The Organization of Islamic Cooperation had so much to say. They wanted the United Nations to act against India. But what has the OIC said about Palestine? Or the Uyghur Muslims in China? Or Yemen? Absolutely nothing. Let me show you a report that was published today by the United Nations. It says Israel wants to, quote unquote, take complete control over Palestinian land. How many statements has the Organization of Islamic Countries released against this? None. How many against the war in Yemen? None. So it's all about political convenience, about picking soft targets. And in this case, India was a soft target, an inclusive democracy, a secular society, and a responsible power. So every Muslim nation hopped on the bandwagon. They used India to fulfill their agenda, and the fallout is this. It's for India to suffer alone. Because this threat by Al-Qaeda cannot be taken lightly. State police forces are on high alert. Intelligence agencies are on the lookout. Basically, India is alone in facing this threat. Meanwhile, what are the likes of Qatar and Kuwait up to? The same routine: suppress dissent, dismantle women's rights, and fund terrorism. So in conclusion, let me say this. You cannot judge a country based on one person's wrong remarks, but you can judge a country based on its response. In this case, India did the right thing. Was it late? Yes, it was, but the right thing was done. We can't say the same about the Gulf states. When it suits them, they criticize. When it doesn't suit them, they're silent. And that silence speaks volumes of their hypocrisy.